Beneath the black waters lies a hidden world. Deep in the Black Sea, below 500 feet, there is no oxygen, only toxic gases and the most primitive forms of life. In these dark depths, one of humanity's greatest secrets may be buried. Perhaps the true story behind that great flood remembered by every culture on Earth. 10,000 years ago, this place was completely different. What we know today as the Black Sea was a massive freshwater lake, crystal clear and teeming with life. On its shores, the first humans were settling down, discovering agriculture, learning to work gold. Until that day came. In the late 1970s, the Russian research vessel Atlantic II pulled sediment samples from the depths of the Black Sea that sent shockwaves through the scientific world. These mud layers told a 25,000-year-old story. The bottom layers were written with the cold breath of the Ice Age, a freshwater story. Geologist Arcane analyzed foraminiferous samples that yielded stunning results. Dreissena rustriformis and Dreissena polymorpha, the remains of these freshwater mussels, proved that the Black Sea was once a completely different ecosystem. These tiny shells had lived, died, and accumulated in layers on the seafloor for thousands of years. Back then, the Black Sea was a massive freshwater lake called the Neo-Exinian. Water levels were 460 to 525 feet lower than today. Geophysical surveys showed these ancient shorelines still exist. Seismic profiles revealed old riverbeds 65 to 100 feet below the current seafloor. The Paleo-Dnieper, Paleo-Danube, Paleo-Dniester. These ancient rivers now stretch across underwater valleys. Fed by fresh water from the Danube, Dnieper, Dniester, Don, and Kuban rivers, this lake was the lifeblood of civilizations developing around its shores. But the most striking evidence came from Robert Ballard's discoveries in 1999 and 2000. At depths of 375 feet, ancient shorelines were still visible. ROV Hercules cameras documented freshwater snail shells, wooden fragments, and even remains of human-made structures. The people living on the shores of this freshwater lake were building Europe's first great civilizations. Carbon-14 dating showed these settlements dated back 7,000 to 8,000 years. The Varna culture produced the world's oldest examples of gold working. Gold found in Grave 43, a total of 3.3 pounds of pure gold, was the first evidence of wealth reaching us from 6,000 years ago. The scepter head, bracelets, and diadem in this tomb pointed to social stratification and trade networks of that era. The Hamangia culture stood out with its colorful ceramics and spiral motif art. Excavations near Constanza uncovered the thinking man and sitting woman sculptures, showing the artistic sophistication of the period. The community of 1,200 individuals found in Duran-Kulak Cemetery had complex burial rituals. Meanwhile, the Vinča culture established large settlements of thousands, creating early examples of social organization. The Vinča settlement near Belgrade was one of the largest cities of its time. Baked clay inscription samples found here formed Europe's earliest writing experiments. These people had no idea that their paradise would one day be submerged. How this dramatic change occurred lies at the center of a great debate that has divided the scientific world for decades. In 1997, William Ryan and Walter Pittman from Columbia University proposed the earth-shaking Noah's flood theory. In their article published in Marine Geology, they argued that 7,600 years ago, Mediterranean water catastrophically flowed into the Black Sea basin through what is now the Istanbul Strait. According to the theory, rising Mediterranean levels from melting glaciers breached the natural barrier at the Bosphorus. This dam's collapse released 15 million cubic meters of water per minute, the force of 200 Niagara Falls. Water advanced 12 miles per hour, swallowing 62,000 square miles of land. According to Ryan and Pittman's calculations, water levels rose 1 foot per day, and this catastrophe lasted a year. All surrounding lands were submerged. People who survived that day had to flee, leaving behind their homes, fields, cemeteries, and temples. About 23,000 square miles of farmland, an area the size of Ireland, vanished beneath the ocean floor. Could this great wave of migration be the reason Indo-European peoples spread across all of Europe? Combined with archaeologist Maria Gimbuta's Old Europe theory, the picture takes shape. Did agricultural techniques, animal husbandry, metallurgy, and even pottery spread to other regions through this sudden migration? But science isn't that simple. In 2009, Liviu Joson and his team from Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution tested the Ryan-Pittman theory using radiometric dating methods. Results showed the flood was much smaller than previously estimated. The water level increase was around 100 feet, not 500 feet. The research team, led by Ali Aksu from Memorial University, went even further, arguing in 2002 that the Black Sea was already connected to the sea 13,000 years ago. Geologists from Chukarova University announced they found 13,000-year-old samples of saltwater algae in sediment samples taken from Turkish coasts. A comprehensive 2011 study by Nicolae Panin with the Romanian Academy of Sciences team delivered the definitive result. No underwater archaeological evidence for catastrophic flooding in the Black Sea during the Holocene was found. This result seriously questions the Great Flood theory. The prevailing view today is that the change occurred gradually over 3,600 years. Drilling off the Crimean Peninsula supports that saltwater intrusion was a slow process, not sudden. Nevertheless, even this gradual change could have led to major social transformations. Traces of these social changes can be clearly seen in the archaeological record. Evidence shows major changes in cultures around the Black Sea between 6000 and 5000 BCE, reflecting the dramatic effects of this transition period. Detailed analyses at Varna necropolis bear traces of this transition period. The richest graves date precisely to 4600 to 4200 BCE. This date range coincides with the Great Change in the Black Sea. The gold-working, Copper Age technology, and trade networks in the graves point to a sudden cultural leap. Similar changes are observed in Hamangia culture settlements. Excavations at Cernavoda and Harshava found settlement layers suddenly abandoned around 5000 BCE. Above these layers lie new cultural layers with different ceramic traditions. The most striking example is the Duran Kulak archaeological site in Bulgaria. Henry Todorova's excavations here revealed 10,000 years of continuous settlement. But there are dramatic changes between 5500 to 5000 BCE. The old cemetery tradition ends, new burial rituals begin. Ceramic production changes, house architecture diversifies. Major changes are also observed around 5000 BCE in Vinča culture settlements. Excavations near Belgrade show settlement patterns changed during this period. Old large settlement centers were abandoned, smaller, defense-focused settlements were established. Do these changes indicate migration movements? DNA research yields interesting results. An increase in Anatolian origin genetic markers is observed in Europe's early farming communities around this time. This could be evidence of great migration waves. But the most striking evidence is seen in technology transfer. Copper working spread from the Balkans to Central Europe during this period. Gold-working techniques, ceramic traditions, even farming tools, all spread across a wide geography during this critical period. These historical changes are fascinating from another perspective too, because this transformation in the Black Sea may have left deep traces in humanity's collective memory. Noah's Ark, the Sumerians' Ziusudra, the Greeks' Deucalion legend, the Hindus' Manu story. Every culture's memory contains a great flood story. As anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss analyzed, these stories contain surprisingly common motifs. In Mesopotamia's Epic of Gilgamesh, Utnapishtim tells how the gods warned him about the flood. After exactly 7 days and 7 nights of rain, the ship comes to rest on Mount Nisir. Noah's story has similar elements: advance warning, shipbuilding, animal rescue, 40 days of rain, grounding on a mountain. The Deucalion legend in Greek mythology tells of the flood Zeus sent to punish humanity. Deucalion and his wife Pyrrha are the only humans to survive the 9-day and 9-night flood. Their ship comes to rest on Mount Parnassus, from where they create new humanity. The most striking similarity appears in geographical references. In Hebrew, the word Ararat described the Urartu kingdom that encompassed precisely the Black Sea region. The expression Ayarat in Urartu texts means mountains of the moon and points to today's Mount Ararat region. Dilmun land, mentioned in Sumerian sources, is described as where waters meet. This description evokes the point where the Black Sea connects to the Mediterranean through the straits. Utnapishtim in the Epic of Gilgamesh lives in a distant land at the mouth of rivers. This suggests the Danube Delta region. In the Matsya Purana of Hindu mythology, Vishnu's fish avatar saves Manu and 7 rishis from the Great Flood. The motif of the Northern Sea overflowing and mountains being submerged in the story evokes Black Sea geography. According to German ethnologist Frobenius's cultural memory theory, such widespread mythological similarity is not coincidental. A common historical event may have been preserved in collective memory, taking various forms. James George Fraser's Golden Bough study identified flood myths in 230 cultures. 80 of these myths originate from regions geographically close to the Black Sea basin. The most dramatic event bridging this legendary past with today's reality occurred in the Black Sea's modern history, revealing just how dangerous these deep waters could be. Today's Black Sea is one of Earth's strangest seas. Below 500 feet, no known oceanic life forms exist. Instead, there are deadly hydrogen sulfide gases. According to calculations by Russian ocean researcher Andrei Ostrovsky, the Black Sea contains between 28 and 63 billion tons of hydrogen sulfide. This toxic reservoir formed with saltwater intrusion. Saltwater from the Mediterranean, being heavier than fresh water, sank to the bottom. There it consumed oxygen, creating anaerobic conditions. The process that began with organic matter decay turned into hydrogen sulfide production through sulfate-reducing bacteria activity. This process has continued for about 7,500 years. From Russian chemist Nikolai Zelinsky's first analyses in the 1890s to today, hydrogen sulfide concentration has been steadily increasing. Today, at the upper boundary, the hemocline layer, hydrogen sulfide concentration is at 11 millimoles per milliliter. The 1927 event grimly demonstrated how dangerous these depths could be. Earthquakes measuring 6.8 and 6.9 magnitude off Crimea on June 26 and September 11, 1927, triggered one of the strangest natural events in Black Sea history. According to reports by Soviet geologist Petr Nikolaevich Kuprin, massive flames were observed on the sea surface after the earthquake. In a wide area stretching from the Sevastopol-Yevtorioa line to the Yalta-Alushta zone, the sea was literally on fire. These flames sometimes reached 65 feet high and couldn't be extinguished for days. Soviet ocean researcher Leonid Zenkovich's analysis explained the cause. Methane gas emerging along tectonic faults, probably ignited by phosphine gas, set the sea ablaze. Even more surprising was that these flames didn't appear randomly but along specific zones. This showed that gas reserves on the seafloor had a systematic distribution. After this event, the Black Sea's energy potential began to be discovered. According to Boris Fedorov's calculations, the Black Sea contains approximately 40 to 50 billion cubic meters of methane gas. This amount is about 4 times Russia's annual natural gas production. But these toxic depths are burying the secrets of the past even deeper. Perhaps the remains of that lost civilization, the real evidence of that great flood, are becoming more unreachable each day. Because the Black Sea's toxic depths seem determined to guard their secrets. But technology doesn't stop. Remotely operated vehicle, ROV systems, can now descend to depths of 6,500 feet. AUV, autonomous underwater vehicle technology, offers unmanned exploration possibilities. Side-scan sonar systems can create detailed maps of the seafloor. Ancient ships discovered under National Geographic's Black Sea Maritime Archaeology project show the Black Sea's preserving power. Nearly 100 shipwrecks, from 2,500-year-old Greek trading vessels to Ottoman-era boats, were found in perfect condition. Wooden structures, ropes, even ceramic vessels reach the present day undamaged. These discoveries give hope. If ships can be preserved so well, there's a possibility that Neolithic period settlements were similarly preserved. Perhaps the continuation of underwater archaeology projects that Robert Ballard began in the 2000s can solve the great mysteries. Science doesn't stop. Every day, new technologies descend into these dark waters, new samples are extracted, new evidence is found. Maybe one day we'll learn the true story of that great flood. Maybe we'll find the real source of those flood stories in our universal memory. Until that day, the Black Sea will continue to guard its secrets. With its azure waters on the surface, deadly gases beneath, and the remains of lost civilizations. This ancient basin, harboring one of humanity's greatest mysteries, waits silently for those who know how to listen to the voice of the past. Because these waters aren't just water. These waters are time itself.